So we're going to enter the last segment of the day here, and we've got a good amount of time available for the farmer panel. And in a minute, I'll invite the farmer panel participants to come forward. But generally speaking, they'll provide a bit of an overview of their experience with on-farm diversified uses, whatever that may look like for them, and then we'll be happy to entertain some questions, and hopefully, whether things that you've seen or thought of today, might inspire you with certain questions, or perhaps you came with a few questions in mind that you want to ask to someone who's got direct experience with an on-farm diversified use. This would be the time to ask. So with that, I'll ask the panel members to come up to the front. You know who you are. And Mark Torrey is going to moderate this session for us. So Mark can come up as well. And I will hand things off to him. And Bruce will just help get the audio set up here. We'll put a few chairs out and get started. I think we might. We're probably Mark will probably stand here, so we might have enough chair.
Check. Okay, well, everybody's getting settled in here. So my name's Mark Torrey, so I'm staff with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, covering Central Ontario. I just like to acknowledge that this is fantastic to see this happening here, because when you've got so many people that are working for municipal staff, have the resources and have the real passion, the interest for seeing agriculture successful in the area, it makes my job a lot easier. Whether it's here in Durham, we've got Kawartha Lake staff here as well. We've got ministry staff. So it's really good to see that you've got the help and the resources. My own personal background, I farm up in the Woodville area. We're fourth generation. Actually, I don't know how many generations. We're fourth generation in Canada. We were potato producers. But my wife and I bought the farm from my family 20 years ago and have transitioned over predominantly to livestock operation as well as working off the farm. So anyways, a lot of the questions before, they were mentioning about the farm business registration process. If anybody has any questions about that, come and see me, come talk to me. On the OFA website, there's also a document called the Farmland Tax Puzzle. It just helps anybody that's new to the process. Once you start generating agricultural revenue, you have to register your farm business with AgriCorp. But that also unlocks a whole bunch of things like risk management programs, for livestock predation, for crop insurance, for financial risk management programs, property tax reductions, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a great thing to get involved with. So today, perfect timing. So I guess we will just introduce our panel, or I'm going to let our panel introduce themselves and tell you a little bit of background before them. And then we're just going to I've got a few questions, but we're also going to open it up to the floor for any questions that they might have for their respective businesses. So yeah, start right here with Jim.
I'm holding the mic, so I guess I'll start. I was handed it. A little bit of, you've heard part of our history earlier, a lot of you. I have some pretty strong views on diversification of farm. I consider it agricultural. I consider it's very important that the property in question is in agriculture. To me, that's extremely important. And the other thing I think, the value added portions that you get out of your operation are also agricultural and should be treated as such. So whether it's a bakery, on-farm bakery using some of your own product, or whether it's your livestock operation where you're selling your meat directly to the public or whatever, it's all agricultural and should be treated as agricultural, because that's exactly what it is. We're farmers getting a little bit more money out of our product that we're producing. So to me, that's very important. One boy started a CSA to be part of our business. If you don't know what that is, that's Community Supported Agriculture, and people give you money up front, which is great in the spring, and then you plow that money in, and then you get a box of food every week or every 2 weeks or every month or whatever throughout the season. And that's so that was a way of allowing one of my sons to come in, and they both went on farmers markets and so on. So it was a good way to encourage them to get in to part of it. That's very important too. And the other thing is there's a lot of opportunities for the young ladies to get involved in the operation and value added. It's not just the male component. I've seen that all over North America, but it's a great way for the females to get involved in this. I don't want to say too much, but I'll just pass it on here.
Thanks. We got to hear it all earlier, right? My name is Kevin Lamb. I've got a 500 head sheep farm just south of here. I farm with my dad. About 5 years ago, I purchased the property next door, 62-acre farm, and it happened to have a very nice outbuilding on it, 40 by 80 cemented floor, insulated walls, with an 8-foot high ceiling, which made it a little tricky for our sheep production and driving tractors in and out. So actually, I'm currently in the process of getting an OFDU. I've been talking to the Township of Skugog a fair bit recently. We're trying to turn that outbuilding into a dog boarding facility. My wife wants to work from home as well. She currently has an off-farm job. So yeah, we're just going through that process currently right now with the new policies and regulations that have been put in place. So hopefully I can answer some of your questions in regards to that. And with that, I'll pass it on.
Okay. Hello, I'm Mary Ann Found. Currently, we farm sheep and crops in Tyrone. But prior to that, I'm going to take you back. How did I get involved with On-Farm Diversified Use? We were living in Curtis. We were farming on a 4th-generation farm in Curtis. And along came 2003, and we had a pork and beef and crop operation. BSE hit on the 15th of May. We were supposed to have, at that point in time, we were a farm that would buy our calves in the fall, house them over the winter and sell them for that big price in the spring. The market dropped like that, and we were instantly in jeopardy of losing our farm. So I had always had a passion for a couple of things were going on. I had always had a passion for ag awareness, and I had taught school for 32 years, everything from kindergarten to grade 6, and I was passionate that they needed to know more about the food they ate and where it came from. And so we also, at that time, we had about 1,400 new houses on our line fence in Curtis. It was in the era when Curtis was expanding exponentially. So combined with that, we were broke. We needed another income, and we had all these people on our line fence who were putting complaints into the municipality because the pigs stunk too much and there were too many flies, and you know the story. So I decided that I would venture on an on-farm diversified use. I left my full-time job of teaching because I was also at the age where I could leave it and get a part pension. And in those days, if you had not used your sick days, which I had not used in 32 years, you were given a half a year's salary. And so I convinced the other members of my family that I could take that, develop a business plan, and open an ag education classroom. And that's what I did. Is it there now? No. We had the opportunity to move to Tyrone in 2018, and I'm now 75 years old. I just didn't think I had the energy, nor did I have the funding. And the current farm, while it is a wonderful farm, we are now specialized in sheep and crops. I just couldn't get my head wrapped around how I would do that. But maybe I'll talk more later about what I did do, but that was my attempt. And boy, do I wish I had that toolkit.
Hi, I'm Melissa Sargent. I'm a late arriving. I am one of 5 sergeants that we own and operate our own dairy farm and on-farm processing facility. As you can see, I can see the chocolate milk on the table. We have 60 cows, Jersey cows that we milk. We have around 150 head. We're running a little over 300 acres of crops and pasture. And then 5 years ago, this weekend, we're celebrating our 5th anniversary. We opened up our on-farm processing facility. So we bring the milk over from the farm and we make it into our white milks, our chocolate milks. And a year in, I thought I'd start doing flavors of the month. So we have a lot of fun, different milk flavors like orange creamsicle and that kind of stuff, and cheeses that are all made on farm by me and family members and staff. So, yeah.
Okay. So I think how we're going to roll this today, I got a few questions I'm going to raise with the panel, but certainly if anybody from the audience, we'd love to hear those questions too. So raise your hand. I think we've got another mic we can get to you. Okay, perfect. I'll start off with Jim. So as one of our more experienced farm operators, it says that in the notes, that's what I said.
I'm an old guy. Okay.
So can you share one of the most important lessons you've learned along the way?
Location. It's really important still, especially, we farmed in Markham and we opened the doors up and we were busy. It's a little bit of a struggle up here. We're not as busy, but it suits my age anyways. But yeah, location's pretty important when you're planning, especially if you're planning some kind of diversification to when you want the public to come on the property or something. Some of the other lessons is I think the insurance person here will appreciate this. One of your best things is a good insurance broker, because there's all kinds of issues that with liabilities and so on. And like, I'll give you a quick example. Last fall, our insurance company wanted us to have the local fire department inspect our corn maze. We had to do it to the building code. I put in emergency fire exits every so many feet. This was brought on by a dry area in Lindsay and a dry area in Eastern Ontario. We went through this 30 years ago. Our insurance company at the time arranged a meeting with the Ontario Fire Marshal, and we went through the whole process of corn maze fires and straw structured fires. I just saw a picture of a straw structure on Ontario Farmer, the magazine, inside a building. Kids were having a ball. But I can't imagine the liability with a fire potential there. Anyways, is that long enough? Is that enough?
That's good. One other thing we saw on the tour was noticing your entrance fees. And what have you learned is important to include that?
Yeah, Leslie especially. When we first started off, we thought people were really just interested in our product, and then we created some animal event structures, petting. I hate that word. We had farm animals for the people to see. It's not a petting zoo. It's a barn with animals in it, and it's a farm. But we weren't charging, and we had a play area, and we weren't charging. And these beggars weren't spending a dime. You couldn't shake a nickel out of them. So we no dear, we'll have a snack when we go home. So we started charging admission, and we got rid of all the certain type of people, and we got good people in. And so don't be afraid to charge admission. Value what you have, and make it charge according to the value. Like, make it a good deal, but for God's sakes, don't give it away.
As a hay farmer, you can only run a charity for so long. I know that from experience. So yeah. I'll move on to Kevin. So you've recently gone through some on-farm diversified use process in the Township Skugog for your dog kennel. Can you provide some insight on what that process was like?
Certainly. So like I said, we moved onto this property in 2020. We moved whilst my wife was in labor at the hospital. I suggest not doing that for anybody who's thinking about it. So it was a couple of years before we finally managed to circle back around and decide this is something we really wanted to look into a little bit. And I think it was this middle of the year 2023, we contacted the township, said, hey, we're looking into doing this. What exactly is required? What exactly do you guys need us to do to make this possible? And we were told at that point that we needed to rezone. And then we were firmly and very strongly recommended to them we should wait at least a year because this policy was being reviewed, and hopefully there would be something a little bit nicer in place in a year or so. So that was honestly the hardest part, was waiting and figuring all that out. So it was about Christmas time that we finally got the ball rolling and got going. And the township staff, the region staff, has been an excellent resource, very helpful in working with us to get through this process. So I believe we sat down in person, although it might have been virtual, a couple of times right around the Christmas break. And they helped us go through that application toolkit and the checklist with us. And then they set up a meeting with all interested parties. So the health department was there, the building department was there, bylaw enforcement was there, as well as planners. I believe Stacy was there as well. And we kind of, this is what we want to do. What do you guys need from us to get this moving? And like I said, everybody was super helpful. At that point, the policies had just passed, and there were still some ripple effects. People still didn't know exactly how that would affect other branches. For instance, when we first met with everybody, we were going to be paying municipal DCs, development charges. We would likely have to put in a pond for fire safety and whatnot. They were looking into, we couldn't technically put a sign at the end of our road because we were not commercial property. However, we had a commercial building and commercial business that would definitely facilitate, a sign. And according to those documents, we could put a sign in, but according to the zoning bylaws, we were not allowed to. So it was fun navigating all of those challenges. Like I said, the township has definitely been super helpful, and everything worked out exactly as they suspected it would, and most of those challenges disappeared. And I keep saying it, but honestly, the staff has been incredible to deal with, and it's made the process a lot easier from our point of view as well. So at the moment, we are currently we have site plan approval. We're waiting on some building permits and septic permits to finally go ahead and start building. And at this point in the process, it's fairly hands-off from everybody I met right at the very beginning. But like I said, that toolkit kind of put into perspective everything we would need to do. And talking to everybody around that table really helped us figure out exactly what was required, and what we could do and what we needed to do to make this vision a reality. So hopefully we'll be starting construction fairly soon, and we'll get this on-farm diversified use up and running fairly soon. That kind of
Great.
cover what you're looking for.
Yeah. Nothing educates you more than starting your own business. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, if there's any questions, just raise your hand, and I'll keep on going here if not. But Marianne, so over the last several years, you relocated your farm, as you were talking about, and explored new revenue streams. What business planning did you undertake in advance to set yourself up?
Okay, so it's back in 2004. And in my municipality, there was no toolkit and there was no policies in place. So I spent quite a bit of time. I am passionate for ag awareness, and I had spent multiple weeks, days, months, years even, working with what was then the Ontario Farm Animal Council and is now Farm and Food Care. And I had also worked, because we raised pigs, I had worked closely with Ontario Pork in promoting pork, because if you don't know, pork is one of the commodities that seems to face a lot of, shall we say, opposition and miseducation. And so I had that in my own toolkit, but I realized they helped me, and we did a business plan up, and I talked to a lot of people. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I put it on paper, and off I went, first to the local municipality, who promptly said, no, you can't do this. You're not on agricultural land. You're on land designated for future urban development. And I went, oh. But then I'm stubborn, and I went to the region. And the region trumped the municipality at that time, thank the Lord. And so we were allowed to go ahead. But as I said, we needed a toolkit. I knew through reading and talking to other people, I knew I had to get the health department. I knew I had to get zoning. I knew I had to get, and that every one of them was a bit of a challenge. Maybe I'm a high-strung person, I don't know, but it seemed like I was getting more mountains than it was molehills sort of thing to get through the process. But one by one, my husband and my son, children at that time, they continued the beef and the pork and the crop operation. This ag education was my little baby. So we proceeded from there. A couple of the pitfalls that I ran into, the zoning one was one. First, when they looked at my business plan, and I explained in the business plan that it was going to be, I was inviting only school, the first year, I was inviting only school classes to come. I thought I was going to have one class come at a time. Well, within the first month, you learn that doesn't happen, because they want to load a bus. So, the three parts of our morning, they either spent an entire morning or an entire afternoon with me, and they were divided into 3 groups. And one group, we always started and ended together. The start was an introduction. What is a farm? What does it do? It didn't matter whether you were kindergarten or grade 8. They didn't have a clue. They thought watersheds were something that you kept water in. You know, all kinds of things like that went on. So we had a farming song, which Farm Connections actually wrote, and I used, and we ended always with a sheep shearing. We did have sheep at that time, so we ended with sheep shearing. But in the middle, the 3 activities, when they were divided into smaller groups, one was to visit my learning barn. I put up a 40 by 80 pole barn structure, and in there I highlighted what was on our farm as far as livestock, but I also brought in a few more. So I had a sow and even though we were a finishing hog farm, our supplier was very good to me. He provided me with a sow and litter every 3 weeks. So there was a sow and a litter, 3 weeks old or younger. There were then their offspring would be moved on to feeder pigs, so they were in the next pen. And then I had a sample of what you would eat. the market hog. I did the same with sheep. We had the ewe and the lamb, and we had the growing lambs, and we had the market lambs. I had a pen of meat birds and a pen of laying hens. I added goats. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Goats and I don't get along, but I did. We added goats. I had a beef cow and calf in the barn, and we also had a yearling animal so that they could see how they grew and changed. That was my whole process in the barn, was to find out about animals that gave you food and how they changed as they grew. I also, before I went out to the teachers, I had to get permission from the school boards. Then I went to the individual schools, and before a class came to me, they were provided with a program. They told me what they wanted, as far as I would ask them, what curriculum expectations do you want to meet? What do you want your children to see, hear, or do that day? And we went on from there. The second station was, they got on a wagon, and it had some insurance. I'll get to insurance in a minute. And they went around the farm by wagon. I was not comfortable letting them wander around. We were highly biosecure with the pigs, so it didn't make sense to me to let them wander on the rest of our farm. So the only way they went around our farm was by wagon. And also, just as a way of aside for biosecurity, every person that entered our learning barn walked through a biosecurity bath. Good lesson. It helped. The third area we had was where they applied what they had learned, whether it be in the barn or whether it would be on the wagon ride. So, and that was very seasonal dependent. In the spring, they planted. In the fall, they harvested. As I expanded and got summer tours going with day camps and whatnot, they did a lot of weeding. Sometimes I lost more plants than weeds, but they did it, sort of thing. I did not support the dairy industry as well as I should have, because they are pretty important in Durham Region. But I did have a pretend milking cow, and that's how we told the milk story. So as I said, that's what we did. Downfalls with insurance. When I went to my insurance company to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, isn't this neat? No, it's not neat. Because you realize you're inviting the people that get sued the most. And like, they were adamant. And I'm not going to name the company, but they were, no, we're not doing this. And we had been with them for generations. And I said, well, I'm doing this, so I'll find another insurance company. And I did. And if you're having any trouble, and I shouldn't, well, maybe I shouldn't, but there is an insurance company in Sunderland that will do farm tours involving livestock. Anyway, they set it all up, and I said to them, thank you. I said, I hate to do this, but can I go back? My insurance company, we had been with them for generations, like my father-in-law. So I went back and I said to them, hey, this is what they're going to do for me. So here's the scoop. You match it, or I'm moving our entire business. I got insurance with my present company, so that was good too. But you have to do, if you're going to do it with livestock, and I'm sure Jim can say, there's a few things you need to be fair and certain about. It's a two-way street. Number one, that insurance company told me right up front, we don't want an equine animal anywhere. Why? Because most insurance claims are around horses. So fair enough, we won't have an equine there. Another one, and you saw it today, probably Jim's wagon. I don't think that's his choice. For me, my insurance company laid out, you will have the wagon, you will have the bars this far apart, and okay, I'll do that, that's fine. And the other one that was kind of important to the insurance company is who was going to drive that wagon. This was a little bit funny. The only one allowed to drive it was my husband, my oldest son or me. I don't do well with machinery. My hired help would have been far better off driving that wagon than I would ever be, but we got through it. We did have problems with the municipality. We had issues, shall we say, issues with the insurance. No school board issues in those days, but I understand that's different now. Okay, I operated our business from 2006 to 2017. By 2017, I had my clientele established. I didn't want to be any busier than I was, but I could see the writing on the wall. It was getting harder to get the kids out of school for a longer period of time. So there was a bit of that. But I think, ask me a question, otherwise I just talk all day.
All right. So yeah, Melissa, this two-part question. So as an on-farm processor, what are some of the major hurdles you've had in regards to food safety compliance, wastewater, et cetera? And then also, can you also touch on collaborations you've had with other farm businesses and how those came about?
Okay. As far as water regulations, we're not too bad. All of our wastewater goes to our manure pit. So the water that we use in the dairy is actually used to water down our manure. We are in a tie stall right now. So our manure is pretty solid. We bring it over and in a manure spreader and we put it into the manure pit. So there's not a whole lot of regulation there. Food regulation wise, we are heavily governed by OMAFRA. We have a little bit of things to do with Durham because we have the store, but as far as when you come into our store, their jurisdiction stops at the store door. We are inspected quarterly by OMAFRA, and then we are annually inspected as well. Quarterly, they take samples of whatever product I have. They tell me what product they want a sample of, and they take it back to their lab and do the Listeria, E. coli, all the fun lab tests for that. And then they also take swabs of our facility. So they'll take swabs from items that are in direct contact with food, but also indirect. I still remember we were like 2 years in, and the one inspector pulled out his sponge and he swabbed underneath the table, and I was like, okay. So, and just like the oddest spots, and it's like, okay, I got to get better. But other than that, and then annual inspection, essentially it's like a 2-3 hour inspection that he goes head top to bottom through all my paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork of just making sure everything's clean, because if, God forbid, we did have a recall, it goes back to the last time that piece of equipment was clean. So we just do the paperwork. It gets cleaned every time and it's not a problem. But we go through that. He will like literally take a glove and wipe his glove against every surface to see if there's grime or anything. It's a pretty in-depth inspection that we have every year. And then we also have to submit water samples to OMAFRA and also the municipality. But other than that, that's as far, we have to have one person in the building at all times that has our food handling certification, which is fun. It's a lot of fun. What's the other part of that question? Just collaborations you have. Collaborations. We right now are collaborating with Basketball Farms and Watson's Farms, and it's kind of just nice because we have the opportunity to give people produce without having to invest our money into and worry about the waste. So that's kind of nice, but we haven't really. And butchers, like, I guess I left out, we sell our products out to other family markets and farm markets, and it's kind of nice because we collaborate with people that are like us, that are family run, and some of them I've known since the beginning of my life. So it's nice to also be able to collaborate them with retailers, and sometimes we bring their meat back or other products that they sell, we bring that back, and it's nice to not only support the retailers that are supporting us, but friends and family that have been in our lives since forever. So, yeah.
Good timing. Perfect. Okay, any questions from the floor at the back?
I guess this is for all the panelists. Are you finding it hard to find quality help for ag or livestock workers? And how are you navigating that?
Okay, for myself, going back between 2006 to 2017, I was fortunate. When I first started, I was going to do it all alone. As I said, I found that isn't going to work. Number one, I'm going to add this in right now. I believe that if you're going to do this on-farm diversification, you're only going to have one opportunity to make a first impression. So having that facility ready for your visitors when they come is utmost important to me. So my day started at 5 a.m. and I would be going like crazy to get ready and get the pens wiped down and everything in place by 9 or 9:30. So I was fortunate I was able to get several local people, farm experienced. They had done ag awareness with me, so I was fortunate that way. Now, today, as I said, right now we're not doing, and I don't think we will do any on-farm diversified use, but who knows? I'd like to figure out what to do with my wool, so maybe we can do something with that. But anyway, right now, as I get older, and my husband's equally aged, it is getting a little harder to find the labor that we want to do the jobs we want. And we're just at that stage where we don't need it full time, but to find it part time. 4-H kids are amazing. I make a lot of use of them. And but now we have been fortunate. We've come across a lad that just wants to be on farm, so it's working for us.
Joey, like, I guess I'll go next. On farm myself, like I said, I farm with my dad. Our operation is currently at the size where the two of us can handle it fairly well. If we had to expand, I don't know. I guess I've never been into that market. I don't know what kind of availability there is out there to hire somebody and how qualified or how good they would be at their job. I've heard horror stories from other fellow farmers. I've also heard amazing stories from other fellow farmers. I think it's like any other industry. You're going to find lemons all over the place. You're also going to find amazing people who you'll try and do your hardest to keep around for years and years to come. So I think that's generally, you're going to find good people and bad people everywhere you go.
I would say we are very lucky with the staff that we have right now, and we've been pretty good at weeding out the ones that we don't want to keep forever. Initiative isn't really a thing anymore. Yeah, it's very older female. I have a very, very prominent, we call ourselves a girl gang. Like, not gonna lie, our staff's like the best right now. But we have one boy that we joke about that he's the only one that's accepted into our group. But yeah, I can, like, we've had job interviews, like we used some job outlets when we, like 3 years ago, and I will never use that again because they were either no-shows and the one person that showed up was covered in cat hair. And when you're making cheese curds, I don't want you coming in cat hair. So it's just like, yeah, it's very discouraging sometimes when we get to hiring. But that being said, as far as the farm go, Dad will say we headhunt, which I can agree with because we have a high school kid or 4-H kids are really great. And Dad's really picky about if they're good with the animals because our cows are brats and they're jerseys. They're the lady of the breed and they're pretty sassy. But just having people that have the patience with them, and that's hard to find, but also like initiative and critical thinking of like, hey, this cow looks like this, I need to tell somebody. And that's just something that we've been finding a little bit of an issue, we've had issues with, but right now we don't. We're really good. But I just think maybe we're being picky, but also just having people that care. I think we're kind of in that generation when you're hiring that it's like, oh, it's just a job. And I don't want you to think of it as just a job. Like when I hire you, I say, you are helping us make these products, and I want you to feel just as proud making them as I do. So like, yeah, like I want you to care. Like, so just learning, keeping the ones that stay and keeping the ones that go. But that being said, we do have a really good group of staff right now.
Labor's always an issue with us, but it's positive, and there are some negatives. We have some very good core people. We hire about 30 people on average each year, and some of that is our school tour. There's 12, 15 part-time people, mostly retired school teachers or people that are the kids are growing up and they want something to do or something. So a mature, basically more mature staff. And we look more for the personality. My wife does the training. That's very important, and they get our story out. And so getting a person with the right attitude and that, and getting the proper training, both safety-wise and knowledge-wise. We can train for knowledge. I really like entertainers, people that have come from the entertainment business, because they got that outgoing personality, and they can project a message very well, and we'll train for the knowledge. Production, we used to use a lot of Sikhs. I had a guy for 30 years, brought a crew out for helping in our production. He passed away at 90 something. He was still working. Anyways, we're just using younger people now, basically, and I have one good guy that's he's out planting right now, and I didn't have to initiate it, or they know what to do, and so they're transplanting some vegetables for us right now, and and then we have market staff, but again, and farmers market staff. So it's quite a diversified. We have young people, but again, it comes back to training, and Leslie is really good at training, and we have manuals, we have safety manuals, we have cover your ass manuals, you know, I should. So it's, I give kudos to my wife for training. I don't have her patience.
So you actually just touched on it a little, Jim. How do you attract customers or visitors to your farm? Are you using social media or word of mouth? Or?
Yeah, we have one person that does our social media. She does an excellent job. She does other management things as well. She runs our CSA program, helps with the farmers markets, and she's the one that's always after me to post this or that, or pushing me to be out there. And an excellent lady. We have a website designer. So we use a lot of social media. We use a little bit of press, not as much as we used to because of the demographics, obviously what's going on. But I would say we're very well covered in our social media online presence. You just go on our website and check out our YouTube channel, for instance, and you'll see why. We have some very good people there, and we're very safety oriented as far as employees go. But promotion, it's mostly online, I guess, now, word of mouth, hopefully. What else? Is there anything else?
Yeah. Any of the other panel have anything to say on that? Or?
I'm going to pass myself.
All right, the gray-haired lady, they didn't have social media when I started this, but I had been a teacher, I think I said that before, so I had the ins with the classroom, so that's how I got started. And then I think what really mushroomed it was a couple of things, because I was focused on this is a school program. And so because I really worked hard to tie it to whatever curriculum that teacher wanted that day, they got that ahead of time, but they also got an evaluation at the end of each one. And how I managed that, when they came, they were to give me their check when they got off the bus arriving at the farm. And they'd always tell me, I need a receipt. And I'd say, okay. And we'd do the morning tour, the afternoon tour, whatever. And then I'd give them the evaluation. And I said, as soon as you send this back to me, I'll make sure you get your receipt. I had evaluations. I just threw them out when we moved 7 years ago. But yeah, so that worked well. It was word of mouth mostly from me. I was really surprised. I guess it was my second summer when I got a call from the municipality. Hey, we're running summer camps and we're told that you're really good. Would you take summer camps or day camps for 8 weeks in the summer? So that's how. But I can't compare. Don't try and compare me to Jim at all. This was very small compared to his. As I said, I would handle most 3 buses a day. He handles what, 5 buses in an hour? Yeah, yeah. So. Yeah. So, but I was happy. Yes. Did I make? Yes. My business plan said I have to do this to make money. I had set my goal that within 5 years, I wanted to put all that money back that I had taken to build the building, which I did. So, that was fine. I also branched out in the summer to do birthday parties. I didn't like doing them, but I did them. So, because that's a different type of ag tourism. Okay, so.
I would say social media is our biggest thing. We've been pretty good this month with just putting videos up. We do a little bit of radio ads, but social media is the biggest thing. Also, Facebook mommy groups love us. That's a big one. Durham Region Eats, we got into that when we first opened, and that was like insane. But yeah, you get a good Instagram reel and it goes crazy. We've had a little bit of luck getting Instagram influencers just fall on to our property, and that's been pretty helpful. But if you know of Crave Donuts in Whitby, the second year we were open, she came in and said, we love local businesses, we love collaborating. And when we got in with her, she started using our chocolate milk and our strawberry milk on her donuts. And when we collaborated with her, it went crazy. And we've just been lucky to get with some of the businesses that have a really good social media presence. And we've both kind of benefited from that. We had one of our retailers, we brought them out when we were letting the cows out on pasture 2 years ago, and that was really successful. So I think just trying to be transparent with everybody and showing everybody like the cows and that they are friendly and whatever, people love that, and you put that on Instagram and it does well.
You get a new flavor, you've got new content, so this is perfect. So any questions?
This is maybe a good follow-up to what you were just talking about. But this morning on the wagon ride, Jim mentioned that everything is a photo op. So on a farm like this type of diversification, obviously that's a big part of what you're doing. You're offering an experience for people. But not all farms are necessarily agritainment diversified. So photo ops, for me, when I'm thinking about diversification, is probably one of my biggest fears. I get the positive side of it, which you've all touched on, but how do you deal with the negative side of it, especially with social media today?
I think you're always going to somewhat get them, because we'll put a calf and you'll get the odd, where's the mom? And usually with those people, I maybe shouldn't do this. I usually just block them because they're starting something. They're not going to, sometimes they learn, but sometimes they don't. And also it takes a mental capacity out of me that sometimes I just don't want to do. No. And yeah.
Okay, as I said, I didn't do social media, but yes, I would engage, have parents come sometimes with their children, and they would be somewhat negative, and you have to take a big deep breath and not get upset. And at the worst case scenario, you can say to them, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. And leave it go at that. Some of them, most of them were, I'd say 99% of them were always wonderful because they really wanted to see the animals, to see the farm, to find out what's happening. And those that other small percentage, they've come with their agenda. And you just gotta agree to disagree and let them go. And for me, that was really hard sometimes. But then I look on it now and I think, but oh, how much those children and the adults did learn. Like, I have stories, I could write a book about what has happened on this visit or that visit.
I don't have a whole lot of experience in this case, seeing as we're not actually open yet, but I think based on what these two ladies have said, I'm sure, Jim, you're going to echo the same sort of sentiments, is you can't let those negative reviews get to you, and the best you can do is just be as transparent as possible. And if that's not good enough, you just have to learn how to walk away. And just, you realize you're not going to convince everybody that what you're doing is for the best or it works for everybody, right? So I think I'll just leave it at that and pass it over to you, Jim.
We've most of our reviews are very positive. We get the odd negative one. We got one in May. But I turned it into a positive, okay? Some of her criticism was constructive. Some of it was, she had issues. I had my psychologist son analyze it, so I got the full picture. Anyways, I feel sorry for her. But we had I think I'll just refer you to our YouTube channel. I did a video last week, just before Father's Day. Check it out. On a review, we got a negative comment on it. The walk you saw there, the storybook was looking a little ratty, and it is. But anyways, just check out our YouTube channel and look at the result. We'll leave it at that.
I guess to the panel, so looking back, is there anything you would do differently during that startup phase? Marianne, you were mentioning you only get one chance to make it right, I guess. Any other comments from anybody?
I guess if I was doing it after being here today, I should have done a coverall instead of a pole barn. My learning barn was too dark. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the experience. Not once, and I was passionate about my teaching career too, but not once did I ever miss the children because I never lost them. So, yeah.
I think when we were building, we should have put a little bit more of thought into some of the equipment we were buying. Within the first 2 years of us processing, we replaced our bottle washer and our bottle filler just because we grew out of them really quick. When we were building the company we primarily got all our stuff from, we got all our equipment from, because that's just what made sense, and they did not make the best equipment for those situations. So yeah, just maybe putting a little more care into the practicality of some of the equipment we were buying. But that being said, we had no idea. We opened it and had, when we opened in June, I was learning how to make cheese in February. So we were so yeah, that would be the one thing.
I do have one. If you're going to do a pole barn and you're going to have livestock in it, insulate the roof so you don't get condensation.
Funny you should say that. Actually, I insulated our roof because I think one of the biggest things is just make sure you know what you want and what you actually can do, and making sure that those two realities are as close together as you can get them. Go in with your eyes open, do the research. Like pretty much every single presenter here has said today, make sure you know what you want, what your project's going to entail, what it's going to cost you roughly, what kind of, policies, what kind of regulations you're going to have to work around or use to make your dream happen. And there's always going to be something you're going to miss that you're going to have to find out after the fact. And don't feel bad about that, because there's always something. You can't know everything up front. So.
It's been too long ago, I can't remember. All I can say is just do whatever. If you're passionate about something, whether it's education or production, agriculture, meat, or bakery, or whatever your passion is, just go for it.
Feel free to keep the questions coming, folks. We want to hear from you as well, so just stick your hand up there if you have anything. How does on-farm diversified use portion of your business, how do you balance that with the primary farming practice, and what goes on there in terms of getting, time management, workload, et cetera?
It's very integrated, actually, because we are a producer. Like school tours are involved in the educational component is involved very much with our production, and I don't know. It's very integrated. Is that kind of what you wanted out of it?
Yeah.
So just to counteract that, I think our plan, my wife currently has an off-farm job, and getting this boarding facility up and running is going to be her full-time job when she comes back to the farm. So in our case, I think most of the labor will be divided down that line of, I'm going to be doing the farming work and she wants to do the dog kennel work. I'm sure there'll be overlaps as, timing seasons, busy seasons permit. But for the most part, I think our plan, and plans never happen the way you think they do, but our plan is to keep that fairly segregated and separate.
And it was separated and segregated. As I said, I can't drive machinery, so it made sense for the men to continue planting. But it was integrated because on those farm tours, when we went out at tour, we would be talking about whatever was going on in the field. And I will share this one story just to show you that this needs to happen, guys. I hope many of you will take up ag awareness. We were out in the hayfield about this time of year. We were out in the hayfield, and I had a group of grade 5 students with a lovely set of parents. And you could tell that these parents they were educated. They were pretty good people. And we're watching as my son's going up and down with the round baler, and his first comment was, well, that looks pretty easy. I wonder why I have to pay $7 a bale for hay where my daughter boards her horse. And I said, well, this is the last stage, it was cut, it was raked, it was baled. There's all those labor hours go into it. And he listened and wow, I never realized it. He says, I will never complain again about the price I've had to pay for a bale of hay. I thought, oh, good, I got him. And then he goes on and he says, I bet you're really glad that it just grows on its own. Story number 2.
I would just say communication's the biggest thing. My mom and I primarily run the dairy, and then my brother Daniel, my dad, make sure everything at the farms gets taken care of. We do have a lot of staff that is at the farm and the dairy, but I sit down at the beginning of every month and do a schedule, and we know who's supposed to show up when and where. Obviously, it's a little harder right now when we're doing hay, so generally I'll get a text and be like, hey, can you milk? And it's easy, I can just go, but communication is just the biggest thing. Try and plan things out. Like, it's easy to plan the dairy, but obviously the cows get out. They don't plan that. So, or just, you never know. So yeah, I think communications, has gotten a lot better since we've opened, because you're a family and you're like, well, you grunt at each other, but now you're like, I'm planning on doing this. So just so you, and also like for us, I need Dad to come move the milk to our dairy, and you don't want to watch me back up a tractor, so I need to communicate to him when I need milk and what time and my schedule. So yeah.
I think we're getting pretty close to a close here. If there's any last questions from the floor? I'll just, I'll close with one more question here. So do you see any further diversification opportunities for your farm, or have your current OFDUs expanded over time? Now, I think Jim and Marianne have already answered that. And Kevin's there right now. So might be top secret, so you don't have to disclose.
No, I think a lot of people know we hope to build the barn on the same property as our farm, but also I mentioned our bottle washer is a little manual labor intensive, and there's just aspects of the building that are labor intensive, which I would like to down the road make it a little easier. So that's the plan. When we built small, and you're like, oh, you don't want to you don't want to owe the bank too much money. And then now you're like, ooh, I'm running out of space. So yeah, just expand, make things a little easier on us, maybe. And that's the plan, hopefully.
Good. All right. So I think, we'll close our panel up. So thanks to Melissa, Marianne, Kevin, and Jim for taking their time to sit down with us. And I'm going to pass it back over to Mitch.
Thank you, sir. You guys are welcome to stay there, or you can go to your seats. It's up to you, but
You want us to leave?
oh, you're more than welcome to stay. You look comfortable. All right. Well, I think that was a very fitting way to put in the last portion of our day here. And we're very thankful to have the wealth of experience with us that we do. People at various stages of their on-farm diversified use ventures. And a lot has gone into your businesses and thought processes, and we're glad that you were able to share that with us. So we'll work towards wrapping up here, and just go over a couple things. But there will be a survey that will come out following today's event. Stefan will circulate that around via email. And we should have talked to Marianne and got that tip about the receipt earlier, so that we'd have something to hold over people and make sure we get their feedback. But that's great advice. Anyway, please do fill out the survey. DRFA has not hosted an event like this for a while. We'd like to do something similar again, maybe on a slightly different topic, or build on what we discussed today. So your feedback would be most helpful in making sure that we put something together that folks are interested in. Otherwise, I would thank everybody for coming. Jim wants to say something. All right. Before I thank you, I'll let you.
I think there's some courts. I want to invite you all to go out to our strawberry field and help yourself, pick your own, help yourself to some strawberries if you'd like to do that. You're quite welcome. There'll be no charge. So it's, I would suggest section 2, because they're beautiful right now. Okay. So you're welcome to go pick a quart of strawberries on us. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that, Jim and Leslie, and that's certainly quite generous. And on that note, Jim and Leslie were very generous in offering this facility for our use today. And we thank you very much for that. And this is the icing on the cake here. So thank you. That's great. So again, I would just thank all of our speakers and presenters today, Teresa, Robin, Cody, Stacy, Stefan, the farmer panel that Mark thanked a moment ago, and Mark for hosting or moderating this panel. And thanks to Karen Yellowlees with the Federation for her work in putting today's event together. And certainly a big thank you to Stefan and Stacy. They put a lot of hours into bringing this event together today, and DRFA certainly wouldn't have been able to do it without them. So really appreciate that. As mentioned earlier, but worth repeating, thanks to Denise Aston and Nicole Brooks with Aston Insurance Solutions for attending today and covering our snacks earlier on. And at this point, as well going forward, I mentioned Bruce Sargent here providing the AV services for today and filming and recording many of the proceedings. So we do hope to make this available in perhaps a few different formats going forward. And that again can be communicated out via email through Stefan once those are ready for consumption. I think I'll leave it at that unless I've forgotten anything. Looking to those who know what's going on here. So excellent. Well, thanks everybody for coming. It's been a fantastic day, and we'll look forward to next time.